Welcome back to another episode of Straight Facts. I'm joined tonight by the brilliant Grizz Khan. How you doing, mate? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, mate. I'm doing all right. Not too bad. Not too bad. We're here. We got here. That's the main thing.
Yes. It's all right, mate. In fairness, you're earlier than Lee Gunner ever is for these shows.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough then. Fair enough. I thought I was running late. I thought I'm going to come up. Not only am I making my debut, I think. Am I making a debut? I don't know.
You've been on before. First time I think it's ever been just you and I, but yeah, you've been on before, I think.
And then I thought I'm gonna walk into fucking heaps of abuse. Like he's late, 20 minutes late. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
No,
I wasn't watching the cricket. People are accusing me of watching the cricket. No, I'm way too professional for that. I won't be watching the cricket and letting Terry wait. No, not me.
Yeah, it's good. No one's ever really on time. To be honest with you, Lee's one of the worst for it. Do you know what I mean? But it's all good, my friend. It's good to have you on as well. International break coming to an end. We've got lots to talk about tonight. Trent versus Kieran Trippier. Big comments from the England manager regarding that. We're going to take a look at the derbies this weekend, and we're here really to get Grizz's take on them as opposed to mine, because you've heard mine already. We are going to delve into Jude Bellingham, £130 million bid from Chelsea being discussed. Is he worth it, and where's he going to end up? We're going to delve into all of that tonight for you, my people. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're doing all those things for us. But I wanted to start really with the interesting comments from Gareth Southgate, which I'm going to put up on the screen right now, that Kieran Trippier all-round game is ahead of Trent's, is the statement from Gareth Southgate. And I know, obviously, you're going to back Trent here. Well, maybe you're going to back Trent, but...
Maybe I'm not.
What are you saying? Kieran Trippier?
Maybe I'm not.
Better than Trent? What are you saying?
So, look, with these things, right, you always have to, like, sort of double-check what's actually being said. The context it was said, the whole sentence, the whole press conference, take it all in board, or if it was an interview, whatever the case was. I don't think it was a press conference. First and foremost, you got to remember, Southgate's going to be asked questions on this, isn't he? He's going to be every press conference, every interview, every person's going to say, what about Trent? What about Trent? Why? Why are they going to ask about Trent? Because Trent's so good. If Trent wasn't good, you don't get asked. He doesn't get asked about Carl Walker-Peters, does he? He doesn't get asked about, I can't even think of any other English fullbacks, but you get where I'm going with this. He's getting asked for Trent Alexander. Wan-Bissaka. There you go. He's getting asked about Trent Alexander-Arnold because people may have strong feelings about Trent not being in the team, right? So it makes sense. So that's the first thing you've got to realize, because Trent's not just your ordinary run-of-the-mill fullback. And then when I delve deep into it, just on the way, literally, because you said that's one of the things we're going to speak about, I said, oh, of course we are. Because I haven't really concentrated, because I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be real, Terry. These things don't really affect me. All right, we have a bit of banter online and social media and whatnot. Yeah. It does. I'm so chuffed to bits that he doesn't rate Trent from a Liverpool selfish point of view. But this is called the Straight Facts Show. And it's called the Straight Facts for a reason. Because we're just going to talk facts. We're not going to talk opinion. No, we are going to talk opinions. But let's just get the facts out of the way.
Yeah.
Now, the facts are Gareth Southgate's the manager of England. So he has every right to pick who he wants. Whether we as Liverpool fans or you as United fans or whoever the case may be, whether we like it or we don't, he's got every right to pick his players for his team and hold on, his system. Now, we know his system is all about 5 at the back. Let's not call it 3 at the back, right? 5 at the back, which involves wing backs. And Trent Alexander-Arnold has limited to no experience of playing fullback. So from that angle, Southgate has every right not to pick in, and I'm absolutely fine with that. And just one other fact, what he said factually was, right now, Trippier's game all round, we believe, is better. That's fact. And I think that's true. Right now, Trippier's all-round game, right now, Trent has had a very rough start, is better. And he's absolutely entitled to pick Trippier.
Yeah, I think for me, I agree right now, Trippier's been in better form than him. I think where Southgate looks a bit stupid is, and I know a lot of us are on Trent, and people know my agenda with Trent. I actually think Trent's really good. I've always rated him. I think he's a very good player. I've always been annoyed at the way when he makes a mistake, the way weird elements of football get created. I always remember being on with Don Hussam, and Hussam said to me that he's completely instructed to not go with runners. He's told not to defend, to be ready for the counter attack. And I felt that was an exaggeration of how Liverpool play. So I kind of like stick it to Trent to wind people to come on the show up a little bit. But I think Trent's brilliant. And when I think Southgate made mistakes was when Trent was at the peak of his powers, performing brilliantly, and he wasn't even getting a look in. For me, I've just always felt that Southgate's had not an agenda, that's the wrong word, because as much as people don't like Southgate, and I don't think he should be the England manager anymore, I don't think he's got like a personal problem with Trent. I just don't think he rates Trent
And
highly.
you're spot on.
That's pretty much it. And he's always been diplomatic. The same as we had England managers, one after the other, who couldn't lace Sir Alex Ferguson's boots, who would never pick Michael Carrick. Yet he was the main linchpin in a midfield that won more trophies than had great European success, and more so than any other midfielder that was being picked for England during his time, but was just never, ever, ever fancied. And I'm not. By the way, I think Trent is a very good passer. I think he's one of the best crossers in the Premier League, probably barring KDB. No one crosses as well as him, but he's always had an agenda. And seeing this comment today, it made me laugh a little bit. And I'm thinking, overall, is Trippier a better footballer? No, he can't cross as well as him. He can't pass as well as him. He probably is a better defender, but then that's what he is. He is a defender, Trippier, that's got a decent cross and a decent free kick. And Southgate's a negative manager. He's a pragmatic manager, and he wants to, he is almost like a B-Tech version of a Simeone that wants to play really robust, really compact. So, of course, he's going to pick Trippier over Trent Alexander-Arnold. So it was kind of one of those comments for me where I just felt like, yeah, I'm not surprised to hear him say it. I wasn't shocked anyway, I wasn't shocked at all.
What you said was spot on, and I gave the opening statement about Gareth Southgate and stats, and not stats, facts in terms of that's his opinion, and factually, Southgate is the manager. No one else. His opinion counts as far as it goes with England. Where he will look like a Wally, or stupid, as you said, is when he says, or things like right now. So that means, so this is the other side of the coin. So I gave you the nice, pleasant answer from a Liverpool fan point of view, like, yeah, look, it's up to him. We're okay with it. Where he looks like a Wally and a dickhead, right? Let's get into it now, is when he says right now. So that suggests he thinks Trent's not in form. Yeah. That's what it means, right? Because when you say something like, right now, we think Trippier is in better form. In other words, he said better round game, right? I think he probably regrets that. You didn't pick him, like you said, when Trent was the outstanding right back in the country. You didn't pick him while Trent was running up clean sheet after clean sheet, assist after assist. If I'm not a stats man, and people that listen to my waffle on a daily basis will know stats. I'm not a massive believer in stats, but there's some stats that you have to look at.
You don't create the amount of chances he creates, and it not mean something. There's too many.
I haven't got. If someone in the chat, there will be Liverpool fans in the chat that can bring up the stats in terms of his assists, his pass completion, all of that. He is only second in about 5 top metrics when it comes to creativity. So we're not even going to go to the defensive. We're going to tackle the defensive, pardon the pun. We're going to tackle the defensive stats in a little while. But in terms of creativity, he's only second to a certain man called Kevin De Bruyne, who plays in the attacking role in one of the greatest club sides ever created by the most creative coach ever in Pep Guardiola. He is second from fullback to KDB in about 2 metrics out of 5. Wow, these are facts. These are not opinions. So let's just say they can be manipulated. Let's just say, yeah, but we know he's good. He's not good. Like Rio said, he's fucking outstanding at the good things that he's at. So why not glorify his good things and try to implement his world-class elite levels into your team, and you might play better football. But this is where he will look like an idiot when he says right now, because you didn't pick him when he was in good form. So therefore, like you said, Terry, and correctly you said it, he doesn't like him as a player. Obviously, we don't know personally. Who gives a shit if he likes him personally, whatever. He doesn't like him as a player, and that's fine. That's fine.
Do you know what's interesting? I was just looking now back at last season as an example. I was just taking a picture of the stats. It was easier than writing it down. So like last year in the Premier League, KDB created 87 chances. Bruno Fernandes, 89 chances. Trent Alexander-Arnold, 90 chances. Odegaard, 77 chances. Son created 72 chances. And this is what I do get frustrated how like the crazy thing about with Trent, I call out his defending at the moment because I feel like for the last year, his defending also has really been exposed and it's got worse. And he does need to work on that. And I think it needs to be called out from a creative point of view and what he's great at doing. I don't like it when people just say he's a cross and inshallah merchant. The same as they say that Bruno is he just plays loads of hero balls into the box. It's funny how like it doesn't make, this is where stats mean something when you're watching the games. If those boys just spam it, but they're creating the same level of chances and their crossing accuracy is in and around the same as KDB, it doesn't make sense because they were just hoofing the ball into the box. The level of chances created, the accuracy of their crosses wouldn't be on par with KDB year in, year out. And I think that Trent does get disrespected for the things that he's good at. And you're bang on with what you said about Southgate. He's never rated him. And I'd kind of respect Southgate a little bit more if he just said he's not really the type of player that I want to use. I think these two are. He did it with Smalling. He said the centre backs I've got, I think, are better. And it ended Smalling's international career under Southgate. And that's now been forever because he's never got a look in since. And I just think he's better off being honest with Trent and saying, unless Walker, Reece James, and Trippier are all out injured, I'm not going to pick you. And I think that would be him being honest with the situation. But yeah, it was one of those ones today. And I got that some Liverpool fans got frustrated about it. Some got angry about it. But
nah, not me. Not me.
I wouldn't worry if I was. The thing for me is as well, listen, this international break, when Sancho and Rashford didn't get picked, I felt they deserved to. However, was I happy that they were resting? Of course I was. Like for me, I mean, maybe Rashford would have got picked if he didn't get injured, but for me, I was happy they weren't with the international squad. I'm kind of happy that the only two players that were playing are fringe players at the moment for Man United, getting a bit of game time, you know. I was happy Casemiro got minutes because he's not quite been fit enough. But, you know, yesterday I was watching Portugal play and Bruno played 90 minutes and I was raging. I wanted him off the pitch. I wanted him wrapped in bubble wrap because obviously we've got a big game this weekend in the Manchester derby. And yeah, I'm just at that point. Barring international tournaments, I don't want my players involved in these squads. I don't want my players away. I don't want my players anywhere other than Carrington training and working with Eric Ten Hag, if I'm being absolutely honest.
Terry, I haven't got the exact stats that I was referring to because I can't for the life of me remember where I saw them. But another fact, because this is the straight fact show, as you know, better than me because it's your show. Since the last World Cup, Terry, not last game, last season, last World Cup would have been 4 years ago. Only the great, the magnificent, who many claim to be the most elitist chance creator in Premier League history, Kevin De Bruyne. Only Kevin De Bruyne has provided more assists in the Premier League or created more chances than Trent Alexander-Arnold. People need to sort of sometimes take a back seat and read that real slow and consume it and really think what that means. Since the World Cup, Terry, this is 4 years ago. Last 4 years, only KDB. Now, there's other metrics that I've just told you that I can't remember the top of my head, and I'm surprised no one in the chat has. In terms of pass completion, in terms of XG, I'm not about XG and X.
But he's great. He's great at that. And look, sometimes people misconstrue what I put out on Twitter because whenever Trent or KDB lose the ball a lot, I point it out because they do lose it a lot because they're always trying to create. But I looked at it here. You look at the last 2 full seasons in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes in the 2020-21 season, these are big chances created. So when they've created clear-cut opportunities for their team, he created 20, KDB 19, Trent as a fullback 7. In terms of assists, it was 12 for Bruno, 12 for KDB, and 7 for Trent. If we go back to last season in terms of big chances created, Trent Alexander-Arnold last year created 18 big chances, 12 of them were assists. KDB created 16, 8 of them were assists. Bruno Fernandes created 15 and 6 were assists. And I actually quite like big chances created as a statistic because it's not Trent's fault if he puts it on a plate for Darwin Núñez and he scuffs it over the bar. That Trent's done his job, if that makes sense. So for me, those big chances created show you who the true top creators are. And Trent, if you go back over the last 3, if you go back to the 2019-20 season, Trent was second that year with big chances created. on 18. You go back a season before that, and he was still an up and comer still then. Still got 11. We're still just outside the top 10 at that point. And I mean, that year was a crazy year, but he is up there. If you actually go back even further and you look at the likes of Eden Hazard, what was he creating on average per year? He was creating on average around 15 to 18 per year.
But do you get my point though, Terry? This is not your run of the mill 1990s, even early 2000s fullback. The role has developed, evolved all around the world, except in certain couple of international managers, and Gareth Southgate being one of them. It's not a problem. If he wants his team to play like that, it's not a problem. Just onto the defensive stats, Terry. Again, your viewers and listeners and subscribers may not know this. They may do. They might turn a blind eye to it. If you compare his defensive stats, and I think let's agree together first, because otherwise there's no point me rattling off these stats. Dribblers tackled, successful pressures, interceptions, clearances, and goals conceded. I think they're relatively relevant stats when you're judging a defender. I'm not just making up random right? In terms of comparing him to Reece, Trippier, and Kyle Walker, who are his competitors or his contemporaries, right? He has the highest percentage of dribblers tackled. Highest percentage. People can say, really? It's facts. These are facts from football, FBREF. Like, I think they're one of the leading stats collectors. They're proper.
Yeah.
They're not Mickey Mouse. Someone on Twitter who's done it, who's a Liverpool fan. Successful pressures. He has the highest, 35%. The next highest is Kyle Walker, then Trippier, then Reece James. Interceptions, he's second to Reece James. In clearances, he's second to Trippier. And in goals conceded, he's the less. So out of the 6, what do you call them, titles that I've talked about in terms of stats.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. He leads in 4 of them, Terry. This is from a defensive point of view. Now, very quickly, and then you can criticize him away. I also criticize him defensively. I do not think he's the complete fullback by any means in terms of defensively. But can I please put my case forward for one of the reasons? Not reasons, facts.
They go on.
All his life, he's played as an attacking midfielder. All his schoolboy career, all his under-23 career, under-21 career, while he was coming through the ranks, he was known as an attacking midfielder, the likes of a KDB, for example, or he'd play right wing. He's only played in a right back position for, this is his 6th season, people. 6th season, and he's 23 years old. Name me a fullback in history that is completed fullback, that knows positional sense, that has evolved into his peak levels at 23, whilst only playing the role for 5-6 years. Let's judge him, and I'm not saying he will become brilliant defensively, but let's judge him when he's 27, 28, when the likes of Roberto Carlos, Cafu, who actually even evolved even later, Dani Alves, recognition was given to these players when they were 27 and above. We're writing off a kid's defensive abilities at 23. It's fucking mad.
And mate, do you know what's really funny about it? Like, this is why when Liverpool fans were telling me he's the greatest right back in the history of the Premier League 2 years ago, they were saying,
Don't know who's telling you that.
Certain Liverpool fans. That's why I pushed back at the time, because I said, listen, guys, you are also setting him up for failure, because as rivals, we will come for him when things start going wrong. Slow down a little bit, because he was always going to go through this turbulent period, because I've seen all defenders. I remember Gary Neville struggling at times. I remember
times. We grew up to these times. We know Gary Neville used to get slaughtered, but no social media, no hype. He was allowed to develop his game, and then he became a fucking solid after 27, 28.
I remember when he was young, 2021, my dad talking about him with his friends when we were around watching football. My dad was like, he's half a yard too slow. I don't think he's going to make it at this level. 15 years later, he's still playing at this level, winning league titles, and he adapted. So I think there's still room for him to improve, most definitely. But viewers, what do you think? Make sure you're smashing the like button for us and subscribing to the Football Terrace. I wanted to ask you another question, though, about Liverpool before we move on to the derbies in Bellingham. A question that got put through earlier was, is there been a knock-on effect of Mane leaving, and has it changed the attacking dimension at Liverpool? A lot's been made of him leaving, and they put that down to, a lot of people are saying that's a contributing factor in the slow start Liverpool have had. Well, what do you reckon, Grizz?
Yeah, of course there's knock-on effects. Absolutely. Like, how can you not feel the effects of an absolute legend of the club, an absolute icon, one of the greatest attackers the Premier League has seen in terms of, I'd put him top 10 attackers in the Premier League era. He's a legend of the club. How is he not going to affect the dimensions, especially what was the second part of that question? The attacking dimensions of
Yeah.
the way we play. Yeah, of course it is. There's no surprises, there's no shock there. If anyone denies that, then he's probably just being deluded or being silly, like rose-tinted glasses. I'm not like that. Of course it's going to affect it. It's not a problem though. I'm not thinking it is a deeper issue than that. It's just is a knock-on effect. And it's one of the reasons why we've had a iffy start. All right, I'm being generous, a shit start. All right. But it's one, yeah, but it's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Of course, Sadio Mane is not there. Therefore, Diaz plays more. Therefore, Diaz has to build a new relationship with Robertson. People think Diaz has been there years. He hasn't. He's been there since January. You know, I mean, it's not long. It's not even fucking a full year yet. So, yeah, as a result of that, Diaz, Nunez, Salah, new partnership, new understandings, new methods of play. There's loads of contributing factors apart from Mane. But anyone who sits here and says Mane's not got any effect on Liverpool, do you know what I mean? Is being stupid.
Do you know what's interesting? I mean, Mane was a player I wanted at Man United before he went to your club. I always praised him. I always thought he was great. I don't tend to be one of those people that will say I want him at Man United, and then a rival signs him, and then suddenly I find a way of hating on the player. But you know, between him, Firmino, and Salah, what they created, not only individually but as a collective, is one of the greatest attacking forces the Premier League has seen. And of course, the chances of replacing, and if you
factually, again, the perfect show for this, facts again. They're facts.
And it is. And I think if you then go through the history of the Premier League, when a superstar, one of the best a club or the league has seen, especially when they create such a great partnership, leaves, how often does it get replaced instantly? Like in recent years, Haaland coming in, it was a year later, but Haaland coming in for Aguero is an example of where I think they've leveled up in terms of goals. But if you think about when Henry left Arsenal, there was almost no player in the world that Arsenal could have gone out and bought that was going to replace Henry because he was the best. It's like when Klopp and Pep leave Liverpool and City. I don't think it matters what manager you bring in. There will be a drop-off because there is no manager as good. And I feel like, of course, it's played a part, and it's going to take Liverpool a little bit of time to adapt and replace. And I think that what didn't help Darwin, and I know that Luis Diaz is more the replacement positional-wise, but he was here when Mane was. What hasn't helped Darwin was getting that 3-game suspension, because he actually started off okay for me, and that 3-game suspension came at the wrong time. It's kind of got in the way. But I've kind of enjoyed watching Liverpool's stuttering start, especially after the way we've done. But I've said it all along. I think Liverpool will find form. I don't think you'll win the league this year, but a lot of people have been writing you off for top 4. I don't personally see that myself. I still think you'll make top 4.
People forget. Look, I don't think we're going to win the league. There you go. I've said it. I don't think we're going to win the league. But to rule us out of top 4, look, fair enough. If you feel that way, if you go and carry on preaching it, you're going to look like a dickhead come the end of the season. But if you feel that way, no problem. It's up to you, innit? Like, if you think that it's an end of an era or whatever, Jurgen Klopp wouldn't have signed another 4 years on, and he wouldn't have signed another 4 years to carry on with his team. He knows he has to rebuild this team. And it is a bit of a transition, but not in terms of just players, because automatically people think transition just means a new team. No, it means a new squad, a new way of playing, transitioning into a different type of possession team or a different type of... Like, we've got 3 or 4 newcomers right down the spine of the team. It's going to take time. At worst, we finish 3rd or 4th, he says. I agree with him. Look, people forget, and Terry, me and you, I remember having a wicked ding-dong on Twitter. You said, like in the injury plague season, we were 10 points off 4th place. 10 points with 10 games to go. In the season, we had no centre-backs, and everyone was laughing at us. You're comparing that squad, that team, to the one we've got now. We had Reece Williams and Nat Phillips guiding us through. Mate,
yeah,
write us off at your peril. At your peril.
You guys will click again at some point, and it could be straight away after this international break. Of course, there's the big gap for the World Cup, but there is still 8 weeks between now and then, and there's a hell of a lot of games to play. And yeah, I think writing Liverpool off in terms of like they're not going to be dangerous, they're not going to be a threat. I personally think is
No, but I get the criticism though. Slag us because we have been dog shit. We've been absolute dog shit, and it's laughable, some of our form. So every rival fan, especially the way we Liverpool fans have been puffing out our chest and calling us, well, not me personally, but other fans calling us the greatest team, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You go and have a go back at them. But the sensible lot will tell you we're not the greatest, and we're by far not the worst. We're a very good team that's going to come good again.
I agree. This weekend though, mate, there's a few tasty fixtures, a couple of big tasty ones. The first I wanted to get your opinion on, we'll talk about the North London derby in a minute, but what about the Manchester derby? I mean, United fans out there seem to be quite confident after the 4 wins on the bounce, but you've got the Haaland factor. It is at Old Trafford. Like, where are you at with that one? How do you see that game against Sunday?
It's a tricky one, It's a tricky one because Man United, you have to take your hats off to Ten Hag. You absolutely have to. All the people that are taking a piss out of him after 2 games, and even you, I don't know you personally in terms of, is it your lowest moment, that Brentford 4-0?
Yeah.
Was it one of the lowest moments you can remember? I don't know. I haven't asked you actually. What do you think?
It was. I mean, I had some weird rant I did on Twitter that I don't really remember doing. 800,000 views later, it was definitely
as always the case.
I don't remember what I said. I just was angry and I need to express myself. And I did a video because I couldn't be bothered to type. And yeah, that was probably the worst moment I've had post Fergie.
So the comeback from there, right? All right, you beat Liverpool, who obviously weren't great and haven't been great at the start of the season, but it's still Liverpool. And then you've won 4 games in a row. You've got, and he's done the most important thing, which I think is so breeds confidence amongst the Man United fans. Every Man United fan, including you, that I've spoken to and speak to, said a few things need to be done. And he's done those things that what the fans were thinking, which means he's seen the issues and the problems. Whereas the previous coaches were trying to fit square pegs in round holes. Do you know what I mean? And continue with the previous methods. You know what they say, is doing the same things again and again, asking for a different role is a sign of insanity, right? So this guy has come in, he's dropped your big boys, he's called out your fitness of some players, attitude of some players. If you want to be here, you're here, you do it my way. He's coming in like a bit of a lieutenant type thing, but that's exactly what you guys needed. Yeah. And he's given players a new lease of life, and that's exactly what you guys needed. By all means, Man City are favourites, absolute favourites, clear favourites for Sunday. But I think if he gets his selection and tactics right, I think you guys can give them a far harder game than they would have envisaged at the start of the season, or even 4 weeks ago.
Only one mistake. It's actually at the Etihad. I don't know why I thought it was at Old Trafford. I must have read that somewhere. I must have read it wrong. But yeah, it's at the Etihad, which makes it even harder. I kind of feel like I'm not going to do an Arsenal and say it's a free hit, because there's no such thing as a free hit in football, in my opinion.
Not in Manc Derby, fucking hell.
But it is a game that nobody expects us to win. I just hope that if we can be resolute defensively, as we have been for our past 4 Premier League games. Now, of course, we've conceded opportunities. There's no way you're playing City at the Etihad and you're not going to concede opportunities. But there's a difference between that and being peppered from pillar to post. And 4 games running, we were able to control elements or stop being penetrated, the ball getting in behind us much. It's about doing that. The fear in this game is that you're up against a team that, one, you've got creativity of KDB and Bernardo Silva, Foden, Jack Grealish, and whatever else. But on top of that, you have got this cyborg, this machine like we've never seen in the Premier League before. I mean, he's only been here 7-8 games, 9 games in all comps, and the goal score, the rate of goals, if he keeps scoring like this for the entire season, he will finish on 85 goals, like across all comps. If he keeps scoring like this, it shows how regularly he's scoring. We've got to find a way of keeping him quiet, and whether Lissandro can do what he did to him when it was Dortmund, Ajax, I don't know. So I'm very nervous about this game because it's what's frustrating for me as a United fan is we won those 4 on the bounce, and then we had 2 very winnable games cancelled because of the Queen, and then your next game back is the Manchester derby. So you could end up with a run that could have been 5 wins, 6 wins on the bounce. You can end up losing after 4 games, and it almost sort of slows the momentum down from a points point of view, if that makes sense. I'm a little bit frustrated. That's why I was
Not only
annoyed
that,
that games were cancelled when they were.
but not only that, that momentum that you're talking about that you was building real nicely and 2 winnable games that you was really happy and looking forward to suddenly. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're now playing after the defeat to Sociedad. Have you played after that?
No, we played against Sheriff and beat them a week later. So we did
I
get
beg
a
your
win.
pardon.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
win, but no, I make you absolutely right. We've not.
It's not the same confidence level suddenly where, do you know what I mean? You're on the back of 4-5, and you're right. Those 2 games were very winnable. But if he gets his tactics right, because I know we've spoken about briefly about the cyborg, and he's undeniable at the moment, right? But Terry, all 13 of the City fans that I speak to, right, which is the majority of them, right, will tell you the same thing. They're not playing with the same control with Haaland in this team. They're not overly confident of going into games and bossing them like they were last season. They're scoring a hella goals, but they're conceding hella chances and goals. You guys have got the players, I think. See, I don't know. What's the situation with Rashford and Martial? Because you need one of them, definitely.
It looks like Rashford's going to be back. And you're right. And you've got to think about, barring last season where we lost there, but we lost to everyone last season. I think 3 seasons running, we won at the Etihad. So there is precedent, and there are lots of players in this Man United team and squad that have won there before. And that is my hope. My hope is that when I've watched a lot of their games, I'm looking back through their games earlier on today, just trying, like, in terms of looking back at the results and revisiting the games. And you go back and you think, even against Wolves, there was opportunities when they played against
every game.
Aston Villa.
Crystal Palace should have been 3-0 up. Crystal Palace should be. That goal was crazy to be disallowed. Like crazy.
Yeah, there's that one there. You obviously had the Newcastle game, which I can't suddenly see, the 3-3, which seems like ages ago now. It was ages ago. Like, there was chances in that match, and they played on the counter. So we will get chances. It's going to come down to us being clinical. I don't think we'll beat City, but I do think there's a possibility of us being able to get a draw. And I think going away to the Etihad, who everybody believe are going to be champions, with Haaland in the team, we can walk away with that, with a good performance, with a point maybe. I think it sends us into our next round of games very, very confident indeed. What we have to avoid is a Brentford. We have to avoid results like we got last year away from home. We don't need anything that's going to dent that confidence, because we were just starting to kind of build some momentum. But at the same time, you're right about Ten Hag. He has nothing's changed completely. It's 4 games, Premier League wise, and I'm not going to get carried away after that. But he's done things that needed to happen, dropping Ronaldo at the right times. The way he's removed Luke Shaw and Maguire, who were 2 big problems for a long time in this team, and he's taken them out. And the 2 players that he's brought in, one were both new signings, but 2 have elevated the team. Yeah, especially like Malacia. He's made mistakes. There's no doubt he has made some mistakes in games. However, what he's given us has elevated him above Luke Shaw. And I think Luke Shaw in an interview is admitted that he now knows he's not the number 1 choice. It isn't just Malacia's in a good run of form and Shaw's going to come back in. And that's what always happened under Ollie. And that happened kind of under Ralph as well. Players like Luke Shaw could miss a few games through injury. Somebody else might step in and play well, but he always came back into the team no matter what was going on. And he's not a Robertson or a Trent. He isn't a Reece James. He hasn't been performing at the level, a Kyle Walker, a Cancelo. He hasn't been performing at the level of those guys consistently, in my opinion, to warrant just walking straight back into a team. And those are the little things that Ten Hag has so far got right. And I just want to see more of it. Like, we have to see this consistently for a good year, 18 months. There's so many bad habits in this club. There's still so many cultural issues that the manager can help get rid of, but he just needs to remain resolute and strong. And, I look at it this way. I watched Ronaldo play last night. Unless injuries create a need for him to play, like, I don't want to see him start. I'm 36 years old. I'm a year younger than Ronaldo. I've had like 3 or 4 months off from the gym. And recently, like, I've tried to get back into it, and it's been the slowest start I've ever had at getting back into training. Normally, it takes me a week or so, and I feel pretty good again. It's been like 2 weeks, and my body is not enjoying it, because you hit a certain age and your body just changes. And I think Ronaldo's gone through that change recently. Missing preseason, he looks poor. But this is where I have faith in Ten Hag. I don't think Ten Hag will just pick him because of his name. And that's the important bit for me. You can't just pick Ronaldo because he's Ronaldo. He has to be in good form, and he has to warrant a starting berth. And if we make all those right decisions this weekend, that we can get a result, I think.
the key one for me, and you're absolutely spot on about Ronaldo. Is so obvious to see, and I'm pissed off that Ten Hag seen it as well, because I wanted Ronaldo to continue, obviously playing in your team, and people thinking he's the golden child still. But yeah, he's seen it nice and early, and he's called it, especially with the Maguire shout as well, and splitting up of McFred, because people thinking he's going to continue to do that. How he's slowly but undeniably, sort of the way he's fitted in Eriksen into a midfield role, almost the role that he had made for Frankie de Jong, for me at the moment is genius. At the moment, it's only 4 or 5 games, but the way he's got Eriksen playing in a deep lying playmaker role, fucking that's genius from Ten Hag, because that was the role he wanted Frankie de Jong to do. Going on to the thing very quickly, the Haaland and everyone's going to be looking for Haaland to pin Martinez, right? There's about 4 foot difference in height, right? So that's going to be the one. You got to be so clever and smart and cute how you make sure Varane doesn't lose Haaland, because that'll be curtains if he does do that, because Haaland will be like nothing Martinez has been used to. And Pep Guardiola, even though he doesn't play direct, he's not immune to changing tactics for a game, because he's like that. He's wild, isn't he, Pep? He likes doing crazy things. And if they suddenly turn direct against you lot, don't be surprised if, for example, Cancelo is asked to whip in across as opposed to keep playing it low across the back. Mahrez is, or Grealish or whoever plays. You know what I mean? I think it's intriguing battles all around the pitch, man. Because Eriksen, first time in a long time, you can go there with a midfield that can keep a football. The likes of Eriksen, Bruno, you can keep a football now. And this is going to be slightly different because they are less controlling. So the matchup is a little bit closer.
Yeah, I mean, there are elements there. I mean, Haaland for me is one of these strikers. I don't feel like there's been very many players like him. And what I mean by that is, although Varane and Martinez have played against Benzema's and Harry Kane's and Lewandowski's, no disrespect to any of those players, as a predatory goal scorer at 21, 22 years of age, none of them were on Haaland's level. And we know that because they weren't scoring at the frequency he's scoring across all competitions, including the Champions League. I mean, to have, 25 Champions League goals in 21 Champions League appearances is ridiculous. And when you consider that quite a few of them were for Salzburg and he was still scoring, is crazy. So I'm intrigued to see how it happens. I'm one of these fans that's kind of developed this. I don't know. Every time he gets the ball in the box, my brain just says goal. And that's weird because I don't feel like that with most strikers. Most strikers, Messi and Ronaldo in the pomp made me feel like that. He's making me do it. Everybody else, I always think there's a chance they'll miss or the goalie will save it. So it's interesting. Maybe that's a mental thing for me, but it's going to be intriguing. Viewers, how do you think the game's going to go on Sunday? Man United win, City win, or a draw? What you all saying? Let me know now in the comments section. We had a super chat here from Lengon Sweet that says Man United beat us at the Etihad. We beat them at Old Trafford in recent years, except for last year. And I think you're absolutely right. The other derby that's going on, mate, of course, is the big one this weekend. I say the big one. It's big for so many reasons this time. But the North London derby, the question is, can Antonio Conte or will Antonio Conte stop Arteta and Arsenal?
This is the litmus test for both. This is like Antonio Conte's going to be under pressure to finally get a result there. It's there, isn't it? It's at Arsenal. And we all know Spurs' record there. Doesn't matter who's in form or wherever, Arsenal always managed to turn them over. And looking at from the Arsenal side, this is going to be another test or another game that people are going to say, can Arsenal really show, I wouldn't say title credentials, but sort of solidify their top 4 credentials by beating Antonio Conte team? I think this is set up. I wouldn't play it down, though, as a secondary game to the United City game. I think you're underselling the Manchester derby, because I think that's a crackerjack as well. But yeah, I get the excitement around this because of Conte. You know, Conte went to Chelsea, was outplayed in the first half, and then totally turned the game around in the second half. Can his Spurs team go and show that second half performance in the first half against Arsenal, who blew them away last season in the first half, right? It was 4-0 at halftime or something like that. So yeah, I think this is going to be another another helter-skelter game. But as I said, a litmus test for both teams for different reasons.
Who do you see coming out on top? Who do you see? Is it 12 years since Spurs have won at the Etihad in the Prem. Do you see them breaking that record this weekend?
No. Partey is key, though, before I actually given a definitive opinion. If Partey is fit, and if there's Arsenal people in the chat, let us know if Partey is fit or likely to be fit. What's the news coming out of it? If Partey is fit, Arsenal will win, in my opinion. If Partey is not fit, then I think Arsenal won't win. Then Spurs can win or draw, but Arsenal won't win without Partey. They'll be too loose in terms of loose. When I say loose, but they'll concede too much chances. But Partey's key. Absolutely, he's fit. People are saying he's fit. If he's fit, I don't see Arsenal. I don't see Spurs winning. No way. A draw. If I was a betting man, I'd go for a draw in this game because I think they're very, very equally matched. Conte won't want to play like he did against Chelsea in the other London derby recently. I don't know if you remember. Chelsea ripped him to shreds in that first half. So he's going to want to put on a much, much better showing than they did their last season. But Arsenal, man, they've been starting off like a house on fire every game. How many early goals have Arsenal got this season? I think we're in for a cracking weekend. You got me excited.
Mate, it is going to be a cracking game. And I think what's interesting with Tottenham, a little bit like City, although they're playing different styles, they've both Spurs and City this season, in my view, when watching their games, and I've watched every Spurs game and I've watched every City game, they've been susceptible. Their teams have attacked them. Spurs have conceded in and around 15 shots per game, with an average of 8 of them being inside their own box. You look at Arsenal, they're conceding around 6.5, 7 shots per game, with only 2 or 3 coming inside their own box. So they've been a lot harder to break down and penetrate. Where when I go back and I'm just looking at the results, the Leicester game, Leicester had so many chances in that football match as an example. Sporting Lisbon beat them 2-0, could have been 3 or 4-0 as an example. You had Fulham. Fulham were very much in that game, nearly came back into it. The West Ham game could have gone either way. Nottingham Forest, they had chances early on in that match and could have put them away. Wolves did. The Chelsea game you've already mentioned as an example. The one game where they were by far and away the best team was the Southampton game, beginning of the season. So Arsenal are, for me, unless there's a big change, Arsenal are going to create chances in this game, and they are far more clinical and deadly with Saka, Martinelli, and of course Gabriel Jesus than the rest of the Premier League teams have played so far. Even with Chelsea are not that clinical. Arsenal have been so much better this year than any team Spurs have played. And I just see it coming down to who's going to create the most amount of top quality chances. And I see it being Arsenal based on how they've played, how Spurs have played in the statistics. And I'm going for quite a big, I'm going for a 3-1 win. I really feel like Arsenal are going to win. I think they're going to win strong. Partey is meant to be back. And I believe it's going to be a good win for them. And I believe it's going to be one of those wins where I've been saying they're going to be a good team all year. I remember we did the which no one's really seen because obviously it wasn't recorded, but the Football Terrace live event at the beginning of the season, and I kind of predicted Arsenal to do well, and it got laughed at. But what I've seen every week is one by one the content creators all start to go, actually, I think Arsenal might be quite good this year. Rory Jennings did it last time. I think after this weekend, you're going to get more creators and influencers out there go, actually, I think there's something about this Arsenal team that can do it. What I will say, I am predicting an Arsenal win, and I'm not trying to play both sides, but Spurs can win this football match. That's the one thing I would say. If Arsenal miss their chances, they leave themselves exposed at the back. If Man United's counter-attack hurt them, Kulusevski, Richarlison, Son and Kane will destroy you. If you leave yourselves exposed to those guys, that's the one area where they've got to get it right. Because if they leave themselves exposed at the back, I can't think of a better 4 players in the Premier League to counterattack against you.
So I've often been accused of being a secret closet Arsenal fan, or Arteta's lawyer, as some people like to call me, and have been calling me for the last season and a half. You see why. Now you see why I said believe in the process, and I wasn't being condescending. I wasn't being, what's the other word people say? Accuse me of being sort of. But I meant it because you was not in a healthy place when Arteta came in. Very much like the Man United team, Arteta's Ten Hag's taken out in terms of many big personalities. A lot didn't want to be there. A lot of egos, a lot of social media. People that want to be more popular on social media than on the football pitch. Arteta for inexperienced coach, has slowly gutted all the rubbish out in terms of not performing for him. They might have been good players, i.e. your Lacazettes and your Genduzis and your Aubameyangs, but he didn't want them around, and it's worked. And now, and I've seen it for a season and a half, Arsenal will be a force, and they're becoming a force. As far as 3-1, I think that's a bit too much, Terry, for me. I think it's going to be far closer than that. I'm looking at a 2-1. I actually think it's going to be a draw. But if I had to force to be chosen a winner, it would be more Arsenal, and probably by the odd goal. But I agree with you. Spurs have got the firepower. But it's interesting. You told me about the Spurs giving up chances and that. You don't normally associate Conte's team giving so many chances away and whatnot. But yeah. I think he's actually being forced to try to be more expansive. And this is interesting because Conte never moves from his principles in terms of how he sets up. But I think there's a lot of pressure, even from Spurs fans, to open up a bit. Like, do you know what I mean? Be a bit more attacking because we've got the personnel, we've got the firepower. Let's just be a bit more adventurous. And therefore, Conte's falling for that. And it's not like Spurs to be a little as open as you just statistically told us.
It's true. And I mean, look, they've had defenders getting great blocks in. Lloris has pulled off so many great saves this season. When you actually go back, and not the problem I have with people, due to what I do for a job, I watch every single top 6 game. Even if they're playing at the same time, I have my means via NordVPN. I watch all the 3 o'clock games. You know, I basically I'm going to talk about this on my top 6 show tomorrow, but it's £15 a month to watch all the 3 o'clock games and all the games via Peacock and NBC. If you've got a VPN, it thinks you're in America, so you can do it. It's a lot cheaper than Sky, and you get the 3 p.m. games. But I've watched every single Spurs game, and Lloris has been brilliant this year with the level of saves he's pulled off. They've conceded a lot more chances than their defensive record suggests, if that makes sense. And I think that's always a key factor when it comes to assessing a team is there's only so long your goalkeeper is going to keep making those saves. Spurs have got to become more resolute and kind of harder to break down. Shane here says, Terry's working for Arsenal. Records are there to be broken. Terry, I see a Spurs win. And you know what, Shane, it's absolutely fine to predict that. And of course, they're there to be broken. I think Spurs can win. I'm not saying they 100% cannot do it. I just don't think they will. And that's all a prediction. The thing with you give you've been on socials long enough. I feel now when you give predictions, people polarize it. I'm not necessarily saying you, Shane, but I say I think Arsenal will win. How dare you say Spurs can't do it? That's just a prediction. of course, they can do it. But if my prediction was I think both teams can win, people would say, get off the fence and make a prediction. It depends what you do. Moz here says, stop ducking, Terry. Brother, I haven't ducked you. I've seen your email. I didn't see it until earlier. We will get you onto a show, but I'm not going to redo the Football Terrace's schedule to have a debate with you about why you keep protecting Maguire and why you keep funding the Glazers. We'll create a slot for you and we'll get you onto a show to talk about you.
You know what? Make sure you message me. I'm going to get into that show, to tune into that show. He's going to defend Maguire.
Yeah, he thinks Maguire basically isn't a problem. It's all on David De Gea. And he thinks that people like me, he thinks that I'm paid by the Glazers to give the opinions I give.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Maguire once blown me like that's like, I thought it's a troll account or something serious. But if he's serious and he wants to defend Maguire, please make sure you WhatsApp me or something. I'm going to tune in for that.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's got to say. But yeah, that's essentially what it is that he is. What is it said? It's facts, Terry. Well, it's funny, isn't it? Like, it's funny because one of the guys that's one of the main ringleaders of the group that's putting all the protests on at Man United, guy giving me jokes at the minute, proper jokes he's giving me because I don't even. I want to keep a straight face when I say this. The guy has just dropped because he put it on Twitter like £400 on like club merchandise, and he's like. I asked him why he did it, and he DM'd me back and then blocked me, saying like, the club's already been paid for this stock. Therefore, when you buy shirts and merchandise, they don't make any money. So I sent him a link of the last time fans bought a large amount of Man United merch. It was when there was it created a spike of £21 million in the valuation on the stock market. The Glazers sold their non-voting shares and made £187 million profit out the club overnight because people bought the merchandise. He didn't bother respond. He just blocked me. And I'm like, that's the problem with that's why I said yesterday, and people don't like it. And then I get called, I'm dividing the fan base. And I'm like, I'm not dividing the fan base. You're just saying that to stop me from calling you out. The Glazer out movement has become a sham. But anyway, when we'll get Moz on to have his say, it'll be interesting to see what he says. I'd be fine with Arsenal winning the league, meaning no three-peat for City, no catching up to United for Liverpool. I actually agree. I'd rather Arsenal win it than Liverpool or City. I actually agree. It's not going to happen, but I don't want Liverpool matching Man United's total, and then City wouldn't have done a three-peat. And then it's going to take City at least 3 more years to maybe do it, and Pep's going to be gone by then, so Man United's records will be intact. I completely agree with you.
No, I see it as well. The only thing is I just can't. The reason why I've got a soft spot for Arsenal is my son supports Arsenal. People know that. That's why I've got a soft spot. I mean, his uncles were Arsenal fans, so yeah, they were more.
You let your son do that? You're a nice dad, you know, bro.
I was, and like his uncles, my brothers, like were more powerful and bigger than me, so they just like bullied me into allowing it. So look, it is what it is. I accept. I lost it and lost my son to Arsenal, but I don't mind Arsenal winning the league. The only thing is their fan base. I can't take it, Terry. I could not take it. Their social media fan base. Some of these Arsenal fans are absolutely living on a different planet. And the amount of yo-yoing, that's what's going to hurt. Like you said earlier, the amount of yo-yoing from literally 6 months ago for calling their manager and their owners and everything under the sun, when all it needed was a bit of patience and just to see it through, The amount of yo-yoing is going to make me vomit and sick. That's what I'm not going to be able to take. But props to Arsenal and Arteta.
I think for me, when it comes to what I'm getting at the minute, I've been quite complimentary of Arsenal, and I always just speak my mind. And people always kind of call me out, and it's like, well, you said you thought Chelsea were going to be good this year. I did.
Yeah, who cares, man? I hate when they do that. What? We gave an opinion. The opinion's allowed to be changed. We based it on what we think at the time. We'd be dickheads if we don't change our opinions and be stubborn and stick to it, through thick and thin. If you see things in circumstances and context and injuries or signings or players and coaches change formation, tactics, and enables you to change your opinion, you're fucking allowed to do that because you're the wise one. You're not the dickhead that says, X, and then you stick to X through thick and thin, go red in the face, vomit when people call you out and go ballistic.
The crazy thing about it really is for me, right, is how someone sent me a message today. I did like an Arsenal Tottenham preview video. And he sent me a thing going, this is going to ruin your career if you're wrong about Arsenal not being good this season. And I sort of said, but it won't, will it? Like my career is not defined by giving opinions per se. People watch me because they enjoy the variety of shows we put on. And more, it's never the opinion you give per se. It's the logic behind it. Whether people actually realize that or not. It's the way you explain things. It's whether it's how you behave when you get things right, how you behave when you get things wrong. Some people tune in just when I'm angry. Some people tune in when I'm happy. It changes. Like, I don't care whether I'm right or wrong, but I will give you an honest opinion. And I think that's what people buy into. And this guy's like, well, he then said to me, but I've been watching your videos recently and the numbers have dropped. I said, bruv, this September is the biggest September the Terrace has ever had. Now, our Septembers are always smaller than our August is. They just are every year.
Yeah, but look at why are you
the research?
Why is it worrying? Look at the research. Why does it bother your life? Bro, why does it affect you so much?
3.7 million people have watched me this month, and we missed 2 weekends of football. If we'd have had those 2 weekends of football, we'd have gone past 4 mil. Do people realize how happy I am that 4 million people watch my stuff every month? Like, do you know how crazy that is? Little old me. But I always say this, not because I worry about it from my own point of view, but I've noticed this in the fan content community. First of all, there's 2 people that are guilty for this. Certain viewers, not all, most are brilliant. Most of the Terrace community are amazing. There are a few that don't give opinions. You're just doing it for clout. You're just doing it for clickbaiting. And it's made a lot of up-and-coming creators and fans not want to go out on a limb and say what they think. That everyone holds back and tries to be too, not PC, but too kind of beige, too in the middle, too, I don't really know what I think. Yes, you do. And what you've also seen is a lot of the top-level content creators kind of slam people now when they make... So we had it with young Sonny that was on the show. Now, I didn't agree with Sonny's opinions, but Sonny would make these opinions, and he had some of the most famous football content creators who are purely famous for saying mad shit, DM him and say, listen, if you want to make it in this industry, please don't say crazy things online. And he showed me the DMs and I'm like, the fucking brass neck of it. Some of these people, some of the things they said and did. So yeah, for me, I'll say what I think and feel. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong and my opinion will change. Just for anyone who's thinking of getting involved in this industry, it does not damage your career when you're wrong. I'll give you an example. Ransom Bantz, one of the most successful content creators out there. He's moved across to another platform on Twitch and he's killing it. I know he's killing it. This guy once said that Jesse Lingard would be as good or will be as important for Man United as Eden Hazard was for Chelsea, right? Is that damage? Is that ruined his career? No, it was an opinion at the time when Jesse Lingard was looking amazing for like 3 or 4 months, and everyone thought he was going to go to another level. So viewers, don't worry about people calling you out.
This is this is the same Rants who got me into this industry, and I big up Rants every single time. He's a proper brother of mine, like a real brother off screen. But he said some of the wildest shit. We started off. I made my debut in social fan media streams, or whatever you want to call them. You know, I don't know what you call them, whatever you want to call them, in a fan debate with me and Rants. And you know what the debate was about? Who's going to win more at Liverpool, Klopp or Jose Mourinho? That's how old we're going back. And I said to him, I'm telling you now, he's going to outlive, in terms of footballing wise. I'm not trying to fucking wish death upon Jose, but outlive Jose at United, and he's going to win everything at Liverpool. And Jose's where? And Klopp's where?
Exactly.
So and Ramsey's flying. He didn't kill off him in the industry. Oh my God, he made that famous video where Grizz was right and Rance was wrong. I wish I was earning some of the money he's earning right now.
Exactly, and that's because the vast majority of people that watch you, watch me, watch Rance, watch True Geordie, watch Goldbridge, they don't care about how right and wrong you are about predicting, because there's a very big difference between predicting the outcome of a game or how a team's going to do in the season. It's the way you explain it, and does that person understand football? And then, do I enjoy what they do? It's never about how right and wrong you are, because no one's probably right any more than 50% of the time. Otherwise, you'd be a millionaire. You better get it right every time. Win the money with the bookies. Not that you would book, because I know it's haram, but like for a lot of people, you could go to the bookmakers and book and bet. We all get things wrong. It's what it is. But yeah, for me, it's kind of funny that people get triggered by opinions. Super chat that came in here says City's defensive vulnerability is a myth. Least goals conceded in the Premier League so far, and by far the best XGA in the league. Fact.
We've just named you 4. Crystal Palace, where they conceded 2, should have been 3. We've just named you Aston Villa, where Aston Villa had chances. We've just named you Newcastle. We've just named you, what was the other game? There was one other game. 4 games you've conceded, even the Dortmund game where they've conceded chances and goals. That's just 4 at the top of our head without even watching Man City's every game. Come on, mate. Like, sometimes just watch the game and you can see. Yeah, that's 4 games we've mentioned where they've created, the other opposition have created a lot of chances for Man City games.
And Man City haven't really played anybody yet. And what I mean by that is they haven't played anybody with clinical, good quality strikers and attackers.
Mate, I've called this out. I said to Steve, and he got angry. I said, listen, you've played 15th, 16th, 18th. The highest team you've played is 12th. And that was Newcastle. And you didn't beat them. So you've beaten everyone like in those positions. So you was expected to beat them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Terry, if we all had the same opinions, the world would be very boring. Of course it would. The only bit of the criticism that annoys me is when people polarize an opinion. So, Terry, who do you think's better, Haaland or Darwin Núñez? I think Haaland. Why are you saying Núñez is crap? I just can't handle that type of conversation, because it's like, well, I didn't say that. So, it's a weird one for me. I can't do that. Other than that, like, it is what it is.
I was at your event at the start of the season with Give Me Sport, and where I done that little interview on the side where they said about Haaland. I said it's a stupid comparison. It's a stupid. Haaland's far more polished than Núñez. No, even you won't even find many Liverpool fans that will fucking call Núñez more polished than Haaland. But what I said, and that's because Núñez is not my type of striker, and I've been quoted, and in my videos, everyone's trying to call out like I've changed my tune. I haven't. What I said at the time is still relevant. I said he's not my style of striker. Why I've changed my opinion is I think he's going to be effective for Liverpool.
Yeah.
No, sorry, not changed it. I've added opinion, because I didn't give an opinion. I didn't say he's going to be a flop or whatever. I said he's not my style of striker. I would never have paid 85 million for him. Never. I think we were robbed for 85 million. But will I think he's going to be effective for us? Fucking yes.
Yeah, no doubt. This here says that the tables can turn, shouldn't always change opinion. No, absolutely. And you mentioned, I saw Baba, you mentioned Chelsea earlier. I've changed my opinion. I actually, over the course of the summer, was talking more about the direction Chelsea are going in. And I stand by it, because they're looking to do things at the club internally in terms of buying other clubs abroad. bringing in top quality footballing directors. They're buying for the future and for the here and now. They're looking at a long-term project with a very progressive style of football under Graham Potter. I am worried. I've always said this: if a team was run as well as Liverpool, but spent the money Chelsea spend, that could be a powerhouse. That's something to be fearful of as a rival. If Liverpool spent an extra on average 100 million a year in the transfer market, I'd be worried about them. I really would. Jay here says, I want to apologize to you, Terry, for so-called football fans ripping into you for having an opinion. I think you're a genuine bloke. I want to do this live stream stuff. Plenty of, I don't know what that emoji is. It doesn't show properly on my screen on me. Time. Listen, no worries at all, Jay. Like, reach out to KJ and we'll try and get you on. But I appreciate you don't have to apologize on behalf of anybody else because you ain't done shit. But thank you very much for your kind words. Like you were wrong about Delo, great show. I did tell people a couple of years ago, I don't think Delo can cut it at United, and he's doing very, very well now. However, though,
has he cut it? Like, has he suddenly cut it? Are these what you?
But go back to Barbar's thing around tables have turned. He's playing well, but I'm not going to change my opinion on Delo until what he's doing now becomes two or 3 years running, and then he proves to me that he's at this level, and it's not just a good run of form. I'm still not convinced, even though we might get a new deal. I'm still not convinced that if Ten Hag is the real deal and stays for 2, 3, 4 years, I'm not convinced that Delo will be the long-term option. Remember, the manager was trying to sign a right back in the summer still. So he's done very, very well, but my opinion hasn't changed yet because Delo hasn't done enough of it for long enough yet. And I think for me, that's me being kind of fair with it, really. So yeah, I don't change my opinion after. Equally, if Arsenal get beat at the weekend, I'm not going to change my opinion about them being really good this season. That it's not going to change my mind because of one game. So I do get where you're all coming from there. Terry, stop this nonsense about Liverpool spending as much money as Chelsea. What you don't get is the difference between spending big and spending smart. Bro, that isn't my point at all. Again, you've taken that the wrong way. Imagine spending smart. So buying Bellingham for 130 million, which we haven't even really got onto today, is smart and spending big money, right? Buying a Mbappe is spending big but spending smart. Signing Haaland, yes, he was 62 million, but he was also another 50 million on top in agent fees. That's smart and spending big. That for me is what I'm talking about, my friend. You can also spend big and smart at the same time. Liverpool don't spend the same money as Man City, and they don't spend the same amount of money as Chelsea. They spend a lot, but don't quite spend as much. And I think if you were to add an extra 100 million to Klopp's kitty on average every summer, he'd spend it. He'd spend it, in my opinion. I think he would. But there we go. Again, you take it as a dig. I take it as facts, but there we go. It's funny, really. If I say that Liverpool do spend as much as everybody else, they go, no, we don't.
Yeah, I know. It's always the case. It's always the case. Look, we do magnificent business. I agree. We just don't do enough of it.
Yeah, enough. Exactly. Imagine you could do an extra.
We're brilliant at it.
Yeah. You just got to do more of it, and that would. And when I say spending more, my friend who made that comment, I don't mean on one player. I mean a couple more purchases of that same style and same fashion. And my God, the squad would be ridiculous. Grizz, I know you got another show at 6, Big 6, with the boys over there. So thank you very much for your time today. Viewers, please smash the like button before you leave and subscribe to the Football Terrace. It means a great deal to us. Until next time, Top 6 show back tomorrow. We've got a really good panel on that. We're filming a couple of 12th man shows as well. We've got George versus Jess for the North London Derby. And we've got Neeks versus man like Big Steve for the Manchester Derby coming up later on this week. So very, very excited about those shows. Keep your eyes peeled for them. Thank you very much, King Cantona. Enough respect to you as well, my friend. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.